Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today, I'm going to talk about effects of encapsulated cinnamon on intestinal, digestive, and absorptive functions, meat quality, and gut microbiota in broiler chickens. We know the broiler chicken meat is one of the most important protein source for human, and due to the genetic selection, the body weight of a broiler chicken at the 56-day age have increased from 1,000 grams to 2,000 grams until 4,500 grams. Another interesting phenomenon is the intensive poultry farming system has become more and more popular nowadays. This is because this system allows the farmers to feed the birds at high densities, so which will minimize the feeding cost, save a lot of space, and more importantly, it is easier for the farmers to monitor the conditions of birds and for the management. However, there exists some challenges in these poultry farming systems. When the birds were fed at high density, especially the having birds, some stressors from the environment, like the climatic stressors, management stressors, or some social stressors, can be risk factors for compromising their performance, which have been reported from many previous studies. Another challenge is a high incidence of pathogenic infections, such as coccidiosis, necrotic enteritis, and colibacteriolosis. So this disease will be easily spread among the birds when the birds were fed at high density. So this is because some of these pathogens, such as Emeria species, Clostridium perfringens, and pathogenic E. coli, can be easily transmitted from one chicken to another. So as a result, this challenge will result in the retarded goose performance, reduced nutrient digestibility, compromised meat quality, and gut health. So in this slide, I want to emphasize one important concept, the gut health. So if we talk about gut health, some scientists even said the gut health is equal to the chicken health. So I draw this basic anatomy showing the healthy chicken GI tract. Just want to see sometimes the liver is also be considered as a part of a GI tract. This is because when the diets they were intake by the birds, so they will be digested and absorbed by the GI tract, and they will be then metabolism by the liver for the maintenance, growth, and production. So how to improve the gut health of the broiler chickens? So there are a few strategies. The first one is by improving the management. And second one is by some feed interventions, such as feed additives. For example, the antibiotics as an antimicrobial resistance have been utilized for many years as the growth promoters for improving the gut health. However, due to the emergency of antimicrobial resistance, so there are increasing number of studies focus on the antimicrobial alternatives such as probiotics, prebiotics, organic acids, and essential oil for improving the gut health. For example, essential oil is one of the most popular and important alternatives. And some previous study have already found that in essential oil, they showed good antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties. And as aroma compounds, some of these essential oils, they can change the palatability and inhibit the chrome sensing. However, one of the disadvantages of the essential oil is their instabilities. So in our study, we try to protect this essential oil by using the micro encapsulation by the soy protein polysaccharide Maillard reaction product. So it can help the essential oil to extend the shelf life, improve their stabilities during the feed processing and during the gastric transitions. So in our study, we try to focus on one of the most popular essential oils, the cinnamon. We know the cinnamon has been frequently used as food flavors, and our previous study have already demonstrated that the cinnamon at 100 ppm after encapsulation with SPPMP can promote the goose performance, reduce the gut lessons, and alter the cecal microbiota. So however, in this study, we try to do some further investigation on whether they have ability to improve the gut health and promote the meat quality. So the hypothesis is that encapsulated cinnamon can promote gut health, meat quality of broiler chickens, and the objective is to evaluate the effects of encapsulated cinnamon at 50 ppm or 100 ppm of organ weight, gut health, and meat quality of broiler chickens. For the animal trial experimental design, we feed a total of 320 birds, and then they were distributed into 4 different dietary treatments. The basal diet as a negative control, and 30 ppm avian as antibiotic treatment for the positive control, 50 ppm as for the cinnamon oil as a lower concentration of essential oil treatment, and 100 ppm cinnamon oil as normal concentration of cinnamon. So as for the schedule of the animal trial, the birds were fed from day 0 to day 49, and the body weight feed intake were measured every week. On day 41, the ileum and cecal digester were collected for the microbiota analysis. The gum segments, such as the duodenum, jejunal, and ileum, they were collected for analyzing their morphology. And also we collected the organs for measure their organ index. And by end of this study, so the meat samples were collected from all birds. And in this slide, I want to show some important parameters we selected for representing the gun health and the breast meat qualities. So for the gun health, we selected the intestinal morphology, ileum apparent digestibility, jejunal gene expressions, and ileum cecal microbiota. And for the breast meat quality, we selected the mobile fibril fragmentation index and the shear force to represent their tenderness. And also we analyzed the cooking loss and the dripping loss for analyzing their water holding capacity. And also we selected the meat color, the colorimeter, by measuring by colorimeter. We know the meat color, it is a very, very important factors that can affect the acceptance of the customers. And also, I analyze the malpractice of the white striping and the woody breast to predict whether this breast meat sample they have some malpractice. So as a result, for the organ index, we did not find any significant differences about treatments. So this result at least demonstrated that our cinema could not be toxic to the animals, because if they are toxic, so some of these organ index will become very abnormal. For example, the liver, we know that one of the main function for the liver is to detoxify the toxins from the diet. So if they are toxic of the cinema, so this will cause serious problems. So this organ index will become abnormal. And for this meat quality, we did not do a significant finding on these parameters like the meat color, the water holding capacity, and the malpractice. However, the cinnamon oil at 100 ppm, the higher concentration, they can reduce the shear force when compared to the negative control or positive control. And for the intestinal morphology, interestingly, what we found here is that it can improve the Wheeler's cryptodips ratio of duodenum and jejunum significantly without influence on the Wheeler's height and the cryptodips. So this result at least demonstrated that our tested essential oil at a lower or higher concentration, may have a positive contribution to the absorption of nutrients, because we know some study they have already reported that the higher Wheeler's cryptid ratio indicates a higher absorption efficiency of the nutrients. And for the ileum amino acid digestibility, interestingly, we found that in essential oil, the cinnamon at 50 ppm, the lower concentration, it can increase the digestibility of all amino acids, amino acid digestibilities compared to negative control or positive control. However, when you feed the birds with a higher concentration, 100 ppm of cinnamon, they only increase the digestibility of 8 amino acids when compared to negative control or positive control. So the compromised digestibility improvement of the amino acids could be explained that because we know the cinnamon, they are the aldehyde. So some previous study reported that if the aldehyde is too high, so they sometimes can block some enzymes such as the digestive enzyme like trypsins. So this may cause the compromised improvement of the ileum amino acid digestibility. However, the true mechanism is still remain to be further determined. And for the gene expressions, what we found here is that in essential oil, cinnamon at a lower or higher concentration, so they can increase the expressions of some nutrient transporters like BZL81, CET1, and Mg compared to negative or positive control. And however, some of the essential oil at lower concentration, they can downregulate the expressions of like the PCAA, which means they have good anti-inflammatory properties, and they can upregulate some gut integrity associated genes expression, such as ZO1 and CDH1. And for the ileal microbiota here, we performed 16S analysis to analyze the diversity and richness of these different microbiota. So what we found here is that the essential oils, the cinnamon at a higher concentration, so they can reduce the relative abundance of phyllum proteobacteria and increase the beneficial abundance of the genus Lactobacillus. So we know the proteobacteria, they contain some pathogenic associated genus such as the Campylobacter, the Escherichia. So this result at least demonstrated that our tested cinnamon oil at 100 ppm, they may have ability to reduce the genus of the pathogenic bacteria. So as a result from this study, the dietary encapsulated cinnamon improved the meat quality by reducing the meat shell force. And the dietary encapsulated cinnamon increased the villus crypt ratio, intestines, apparent ileal digestibility, altered the ileal microbiota composition. However, it is still necessary to do some further investigation on whether they are toxic to the animals and also the safety of this encapsulated essential oil in the broiler chickens. So finally, I would like to acknowledge my supervisor, Dr. Chongwu Yang, my co-supervisor, Dr. Joshua T. Gong, and I appreciate the help from the AFC scientists, especially the Musa Diarra and the Chi-Wang Diang Lip. And also I appreciate the help from all of my lab members at the University of Manitoba Poultry Bar staff. Okay, thanks for your listening. If you have any questions, please ask me. Thank you so much.
Hi there, nice presentation, thank you. So I'm just waiting to see if there's any questions that pop up in the Q&A box, but until there are, I guess I get to ask the questions. And
yeah, sure.
I guess, how easy to access is cinnamon oil? Like, can you order it in giant jugs, or how do you procure your cinnamon oil?
Sorry, your question is how to purchase or how to prepare the cinnamon oil, or just how to analyze the cinnamon oil? Sorry.
Both.
Okay, so for purchase cinnamon oil, we purchase from the company, so it is already extracted from the plants. So it's a pure cinnamon. It's over 95% of purity. And for the analyze of cinnamon oil, firstly, what we do is that we analyze their stabilities of the oil. So by using the encapsulation, what we analyze there is just it can improve the shelf life, and also it can prolong the stabilities in the stomach and also during the feed processing. So because we know the stability is very important for the essential oil to make it become efficient. And then we perform the animal trial study. So we have already found that it can reduce the gut lessons, improve the growth performance. So in this study, we try to do some further investigation on whether other parameters. We know the gut health is a very popular and hot topic nowadays. So we try to measure different parameters like the morphology, the gene expressions, and yeah, so on. So, and also the meat quality, because we analyze the broiler chickens, we care about their meat quality. So yeah. Did I answer your question? Sorry.
What do you expect from this agent in the incidence of a health challenge?
Sorry, can you pardon? I can.
So yeah, the question is, what would you expect from using the cinnamon essential oil in the incidence of a health challenge?
Yeah, what we expected here is if we supplement the cinnamon oil at a lower concentration as possible, so it can reduce the incidence of the broiler chicken infections. For example, in the first study, we found that it can reduce the coccidiosis and NE lessons for the broiler chicken. So it is very good news. And the second step, what I want to see is we try to found out whether the cinnamon oil, it can reduce the antimicrobial resistance bacteria and also their resistant profiles. We know the antimicrobial resistance is become very a serious problem. And some bacteria like the E. coli, it is frequently associated as reservoirs of antimicrobial resistant genes. And also some of these antimicrobial resistant E. coli, they show the zoonotic potentials, which can cause a human disease. So if our essential oil, they can reduce the number and also can reduce the prevalence or frequencies of these genes and the virulence genes. So it will be good news, which means it can not only decrease the chicken convalescence, also it can prevent some incidents from the human. So yeah, so that's what we need to do in the future, in future studies. And also the toxic assessment, their prices, the cost assessment is also very important.